What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2 and my new player progression run-through for 2024. Now, we are at the state of our new player questline where it is time to jump into Onslaught mode. Now, I did do a full rundown on Onslaught mode just in my last episode. I will link that up above in the cards. If you've never done Onslaught before, don't know what it's about, I do encourage you to check out that video. Now, before we get started, we're going to do a real quick tip here, and this is going to involve resetting your Ascension points. It costs 200 Defender medals or 50 gems to reset your Ascension points. However, you never want to pay this money. Now, since we're jumping into Onslaught mode, we could definitely use some varied heroes, and we might want to do some more building with our heroes. With that in mind, I've got these 15 points into movement speed. I'd really like to move those down to defense crit chance. However, I don't feel like it's big enough of a deal where I want to waste 200 defender medals or 50 gems. So what I'm going to do instead is just yoink all of the everything that is on this squire. And then we are going to go ahead and delete the squire. Boom, no more squire. Now we're going to head on into our create hero screen, and we're going to make a brand new squire. So as you see, we've got the option to start it at level 1. We don't want to start it at level 1. We want to start it at the same level as the rest of our heroes. So we'll just confirm, and then now we've got us a brand new shiny squire with no ascension points spent. So I can go ahead and put those 15 points in there, 15 points into defense speed, and then whatever you're looking for in the offense category. Now, of course, we've still got all of that squire's gear, so we're going to go ahead and throw all of that back on. And we are now exactly where we were, except we didn't have to pay anything for that particular squire and resetting the ascension there. Now, we do have, as I mentioned early on, we are going to be getting tons of pet eggs. One thing I do want to do is make sure I'm keeping some Gatto pets around. Gatto pets can be quite game-changing for Chaos 5. So you might want to hatch a few Gatto pets and see if you get any skins that you really like, as there is a pet ability that will come that will be extremely helpful for us in Chaos 5 content. Now let's go ahead and jump on in and get our first Onslaught follower going. Since we are at a 2136 champion score, meaning we are in between Chaos 4 and Chaos 5, we don't have to do the early floors. We get to skip ahead a little bit to floor number 12. Now, if you just want the easy peasy lemon squeezy experience to get your Onslaught Defender quest completed, and get that Deadly Strike Shard, the Gold Reward, and the Defender medals, you can just do Floor 1 10 times. You can repeat Floor 1 over and over again, and you will be in good shape there as far as getting that quest completed. But we're going to jump on into Floor number 12, which is the unlock that we get for our Chaos 4, and let's see what we get. And here we go. We got the Dragonfall Bazaar, so we are ready to go here. Now, the first thing we want to do is look at the lanes that are coming. Over here, you see we've got Whompers. It's going to be melee goblins, warboars, and our lovely little digging fellows. Additionally, we've got the unstoppable mutator, meaning any enemy on this lane cannot be slowed. We're going to have some zappers rolling out from that top lane. And then over here, we've got some side throwers. So we've got javelin throwers, we got ranged goblins, and we've got cyborgs. This is definitely going to be the lane we're going to want to focus on. And then over on this side, we've got soft spot and a fodder lane. Fodder is going to be melee goblins, ranged goblins, warboars, and then javelin throwers. And these have that soft spot mutator, which is not really going to affect us a ton on this run. Now, with this setup, looking at what is coming, we know that we're going to want to do two different style of defenses. First off, actually, we could do the same thing across the board. However, I am going to go with like some aura spam on this Whomper lane. I'm going to put a Skyguard tower down for our zappers. I'm going to put a Skyguard tower down for our kamikazes. We're going to go with some more auras over here on this fodder lane. But here you see we've got Cyborgs. Cyborgs, of course, disable ground traps, auras, and nodes. So we're going to want to not use auras on this lane. We're going to want to go with some sort of defense. I think for this run, since we did that Squire, why don't we go ahead and use the Squire on this one, and we'll go with, like, some cannonballs and maybe some ballistas. So we know that we're going to want some auras. We're going to want some cannonballs or ballistas, and then we're going to want some sky guards in addition to that. So taking a look through our defenses. First things first, the game is all about shards, y'all. We all know it. It is all about the shards. I also have a few other good shards here that we might want to use in this particular setup. We've got empowered bolts on this one for the ballista. That could be quite nice on that cyborg lane. We've got fortification. We've already got one of those on our walls. And then we've got Stunfire, which is going to be a Cannonball Stun Shard, which is quite nice as well. So first things first, let's take a look at our auras and what shards we have. Now at this point, I've done a few more Chaos 4 matches. I've got, I've got 2 Destructions, 2 Defense Rates, and then 1 Deadly Strike Shard as my main shard loadout. So with this situation, I think we can get away with not using Deadly Strikes on our Flame Aura. So let's go something like this. We'll go a Destruction, a Defense Rate, and a Defense Crit Damage that's not even upgraded. Just a filler slot for that 3rd shard slot. Now, on the Flame Aura, we actually have the absolute sweet spot relic, and that is we got Defense Rate. So a Defense Rate mod combined with an Ungilded Defense Rate shard is going to mean that our Flame Auras are going to be at the speed cap. If we take a look at them and we look at attack rate, we see it is maxed. That is about the biggest thing you can do for one of your defenses. Now, what do we want our next strongest defense to be? It's probably going to be whatever we use on our Squire. Do we want to go, you know what, let's go with the Cannonball Stun. So let's go ahead and upgrade Stunfire here. We'll get that chance to stun. So on our cannons, we're going to want to find a relic. What do we got? If you sort, it's going to list your relics by their item power level. So you're going to get the strongest power right here. We've got an anti-support. We've got an anti-goblin. We've got a melee boom. I feel like the melee boom would be super strong, but we're going to go ahead and take that anti-support. We're not getting a whole lot of value out of it, though. Now, in addition to that, we're going to go ahead and nerf our Lightning Strike auras a little bit. And we're going to go with a Destruction Shard on our Cannonball. We're going to go with Stunfire. And then, what do we want to use for our last one? Well, Defense Rate is the obvious choice. So now we have a Cannonball Tower ready to go. We've got a Spike Blockade ready to go, as we do have a Totem. Which Totem is better? 8,000 and 8,800. This Totem is definitely better. Let's give it that Fortification. Even though it's not upgraded, it still gives us a little bit of benefit. So now we got some cannons ready to go, we got some walls ready to go, and then we've got our Flame Auras ready to go as well with that Destruction, Defense Rate, and Defense Crit Damage. Now we're going to be using Sky Guards, however we don't have a super strong Sky Guard setup going. What can we throw on it to make it a little bit better? Well, actually we got Deadly Strikes too. Let me check out our cannon range. Maybe we want to go... Actually, you know what? I think that range will be fine. Let's go ahead and put Deadly Strikes on our Skyguard Tower. Or do we want to just put it on the Flame Auras? Decisions. We've only got one of them, so we got to decide where to put it. We don't have much power on our Skyguard Tower. That is for sure. We've got an unupgraded Defense Crit Shard, and that is it. But why don't we go ahead and go with... We'll put the Deadly Strikes on our Flame Auras. So now we've got not only a defense rate shard and a defense rate mod getting to the defense cap, but we have the ultimate trifecta for a new player. This shard combo, Destruction, Defense Rate, and Deadly Strikes, will get you through a large chunk of the game. The entire early game, these 3 shards are the trifecta of super hotness. There is just no doubt. So let's see. We've got 800 DU to spend. We're going to have 3 lanes. So starting things off, why don't we go ahead and throw like, We'll throw a Skyguard tower. Let's actually throw it back here a little bit. We'll throw a Skyguard tower like right there. We'll throw another Skyguard tower, say over like right here to help us out with these zapper lanes. Now we know we're going to have lots of enemies coming out ready to smash here. So let's go ahead and get our walls down. We're going to throw a wall, say like right here. This lane, we're going to build it a little bit further back and take advantage of this choke point. So why don't we throw a wall, say like right about like that. And then right here, we can throw one, say right about there. Now that's going to leave me just over 600 DU left, or 200 DU per lane. So starting things off, we know we're going to go heavy auras. Additionally, I kind of want to set this lane up so I don't have to worry about it. So what I'm going to do is, first off, I'm going to give a little bit more help to this flyer lane. These flyers do like to go directly to that sub-objective, so I'm going to put a flame aura up there just for a little additional help. Now here on this lane, we are just going to go ahead and line this bad boy up all the way to the spawn. Now we know we can spend around 200 DU, so let's just see what we can do here. Wow, well that actually worked out perfect with the additional aura up top. So this lane is now done. We've countered the enemies that are present. We don't have a mutator that's going to be affected by the defenses we're doing. And then next we can move on over to this fodder lane. Now for this particular one, this one should be a relatively easy lane as well. These flyers are dive bombers, so they're going to come in hot and heavy, no doubt. But in this lane, why don't we just go ahead and do the same thing? Oops, let's not place it up there, though. Let's go ahead and just spam flame auras all the way up to the spawn until we get to a point where we are happy. I'm actually pretty happy with that setup there. Now, we can help this lane out a little bit as well. If you keep an eye out with the flyer's flight path, a lot of times an aura will be enough to get you in to the flight zone of the flyer. So we're going to put an aura up top on this post. If we hold our left shift to look at it, we see that the flyers just barely dip into that aura, but they do dip into it, which is going to give us a tiny bit of help for that flyer lane. Now that's going to leave us, what, 220 DU left. We know we got cannonball action going on here. Let's just go ahead and line them up. So we want to get as many cannonballs as possible. We remember that we do have some throwers. We've got javelin throwers and those goblins. Now the javelin throwers, javelins are going to pierce, and then the goblins are throwing little bombs that are going to explode. So we don't want to put our cannons too close to where all that is going to be going down. So let's go ahead and throw, why don't we throw a couple of cannons like up here, making sure that we're still covering the wall with them. We can throw, another cannon, say there and there, and then we'll throw one just kind of, actually we got enough DU left. Let's go ahead and throw two kind of right in the middle there. Now we've got 40 DU left. We can kind of do whatever we want with that 40. I think what I'll do is maybe just throw down another cannon. Actually, let's just drop one more cannon in the middle and maximize the amount of coverage we have. Now I'm going to be DPS on my apprentice. I'm going to try to stay in this center lane. So with that in mind, I want this lane to not have to be bothered with. So I'm going to go ahead and dump all of my upgrades into this lane. And then let's just let it fly and see how we do here. Now, as you go through these maps, the lanes are not going to change. So these mutators that we have, sometimes mobs will get added to the lane later on, depending on the lane type. However, the mutators are going to remain the same. Now, I've got a super short range weapon, which kind of stinks, and I'm just not able to do what I want to do here and shoot from wide range. Now, we're in Chaos 4 difficulty as far as the Onslaught comparison goes. With that in mind, we are going to be hopefully getting some decent upgrades before too long. The first thing I want to keep an eye out for is another staff, as this staff is just not at all glorious. We are getting it done so far. We are taking a little bit of damage on our wall. We can spam some upgrades onto it. As always, your little wither beasts, you want to keep them out of the ground. Don't let these guys keep digging. it's just going to make your life a little bit miserable. You see we got 17 enemies left. It's all about the middle lane here, no doubt. And we're not going to get any loot on this first wave either. So there's nothing we're really going to be able to do about it other than muscle through it. And there we go, wave 1 complete. Now this lane did really well. We see our pile of mana is all up front. So the enemies died super quick there. So what we can do now is try to automate this lane as well. So let's go ahead and throw some upgrades in across the board. Just to be safe, we'll drop an upgrade on this flyer flame aura as well. And yeah, let's just go ahead and drop one here too. Now that's going to leave a bunch left. We know our wall took a lot of damage. Let's just go ahead and spam the rest of the upgrades around and see if we can't get through this particular map. So moving right on along, here we go into wave 2, and we should have similar results. Now the difference is, of course, now we're going to have a boss. Now, of course, we can always check and see what boss is coming, but I didn't. I failed to. So big derps there. However, I think we'll still be able to get through it. My main concern is going to be those javelin throwers as they were standing back. So let me get as much damage in as I can on those guys. And then additionally, I want to look for that wither beast that's going to be rolling out, as we don't want to have any wither beasts getting dug into the ground. How we doing over here? We actually got a little wither beast action right there. And this is pretty much the majority of your experience in Onslaught. You look at what's coming, you look at the lane mutators, and you do basically what it tells you to do. If there's an enemy there that disables traps, then of course don't use traps. If there is enemies there that take increased damage or reduce physical damage and increase magic damage, well, then use magic damage and get yourself the bonus. Oh, these cannons are just wrecking. Old Gribbs here, he is getting beat down. Now, let's take a look at the loot. This is 0 of 10 gear. This is the very start of Chaos 4. So with that in mind, we're probably not going to find any good upgrades. The loot is set. So everything that is on the ground here should be 0 of 10 Chaos 4. Let's take a look at this staff. Yep, 0 of 10 Chaos 4. And we've got no other loot on the ground. Now, you know, all about the upgrades. And one thing you will find in Dungeon Defenders 2 is the more upgrades you get in, oh, the smoother things are going to run. So definitely get your upgrades in, spend that mana. And I expect this to be a pretty chill experience for the rest of it. So let's go ahead and jump on forward to wave number 5. And here we go with wave number 5. So one thing I noticed right away, this is the first map I've done on this playthrough where I've had a fully sharded defense, and oh my god, it is so huge. These flame aura lanes are just getting wrecked. So I say it over and over and over again, it's a game of shards. If you get the right shards in the right spots, you are going to tear up the content. And these two outside lanes, we are indeed doing it. Now, if we take a look, we've got wave 5. We're going to have 3 different bosses coming out on this one. Actually, we get a little cyborg action up here. Oh, man. So this actually makes me kind of want to rethink this lane a little. But I think I am going to try to muscle through it and see if we can't get that cyborg boss killed off. Now, this is without question the lane I am the most worried about now. So with that in mind, I am going to spend upgrades on that lane. And let's see, I think that lane will be fine. Let's just dump one more upgrade into a flamer or into a cannon there. We'll drop one more on that one. And then we are going to spend our time in this lane and going to try to get this cyborg dead. He's going to disable these auras. But what I'm hoping happens is the cyborg will get close enough to this aura, and maybe this aura will be doing damage to it. We're going to have to see. You know, obviously, cyborg mini-boss on a lane full of flame auras is completely fighting the system. But I am so damn lazy, I just do not want to rebuild this map. So let's see what we could do and see if we can't get through it. This is the last wave, so as long as we can survive this one, we will be GG's for sure. But let's see how it goes. Gonna have to basically ignore the bosses on the other lanes. So hopefully those lanes come out clean. I will keep an eye on the mini-map, though. Okay, here comes old Thork the Terrible. He is a super cyborg. So that's the benefit you get from always paying attention to what is coming, because he's going to do his cyborg business. He actually disabled the front 2 auras already. He's going to disable this entire line now. And let's see if we can't CC these guys up a little bit, maybe. He's actually going to hit... we're going to have problems here with Thork. Let's spam a repair into that lane. We see our middle lane. The wall is really getting hammered. I'm going to try to get Thork down, though, before I move on. You see, I'm just spamming the repair. We're still at a point, we're early enough in-game where you are going to be able to spam repair through walls. Or through mob damage on walls, boss damage on walls. But even with our lazy mode engaged and the refusal to rebuild that lane up there, the right thing to do probably would have been to sell all those auras and then spam a bunch of cannonballs up here as well. But even going lazy mode, but focusing that lane, it was enough to make the difference here and get our first Onslaught win. So 1 of 10, we got 9 more maps to go to get this one complete. However, we are there. So we are making our way through Onslaught. That is the first map of the run here in Onslaught mode. Now, when it comes to doing Onslaught, one thing that is nice about it is fairly rewarding as you're going up through. You're going to get multiple shards. You see we got a Campaign, a Chaos 2, and a Chaos 4 shard. Let's take a look at those and see what we got. Lateral Blast is not going to help us. Support Magic Specialist is not going to help us. And Frenzy is not going to help us. One of the tough things about being a shard-based game is if you get a bunch of shards for heroes you don't have yet, they are just not going to do anything for you. So we're going to scrap all those. We're still saving up our dust, hoping we can get some rerolls here on our shards. I still am not up to 10 shard dust on anything quite yet, but I am getting closer, But that will do it for this episode. Thanks an absolute ton for watching, and I will see you next time around. Take it easy.